And good morning again, YouTube. It's 3:15 a.m. Monday, January 3rd. Pretty sure it's January 3rd, 2022. So the last video ran out because the Obamaphone is completely out of space. I had something taking up space on there. I need to check it out because there's not a lot on there. Of course, that phone has a painfully small amount of space on it. Although I did notice it has an interesting feature that's kind of lost on modern cell phones. It can hold a micro SD card. If that thing didn't take such god-awful video, I probably would actually bother with that. So anyway, I kept walking south down 36th Street, which is another street that should have a bus route on it, but doesn't. Not that it matters at this time of the morning, because there are no buses running. But got to Circle K in hopes that I could maybe get a better, actually get some warm food, since that wasn't an option at Walgreens. And mostly I came because it was close. And it does say here on the sign that it's close. But it says it's close for stocking and cleaning. Sorry for the inconvenience. I thought it was close because I was nearby. Oh, and weird that they would have a sign saying it's close instead of a sign saying it's closed, because it appears to be closed. So it's close and it's closed. Accept cash or debit, credit, and EBT cards only, please. And thank you. I got an EBT card. I got debit cards too. Depending on what I'm purchasing, I might have exact cash, but they're closed, even though the sign says they're close. Literacy is just lost in our society. What can I say? So I don't know how much video I'll be able to shoot with this for two reasons. One, I'm running out of space on this phone. I got lots of battery though, and it's getting cold. Like, my hands are legit getting cold carrying this stuff. 3:17 in the morning. Some of the bus routes, since it is a Monday schedule, some of the bus routes do start running by 4, but I'm sure if I walk, I'll be home before 4. So I'm just going to try to keep moving, keep myself warm. I don't know what the temperature is. I don't have my iPhone, and even if I had like a weather app on my other Obamaphone, it's currently got no service. Although that's what I wanted to talk about. So I did a video, I want to say roughly a month ago, maybe closer to 2 months ago, where I was honestly, I think I was heading down to the mental health clinic for a meeting with benefit specialist or job coordinator. I don't know. Like, I get help down there, but it's just not, it's like, I mean, they're caseworkers, not miracle workers. I think that's what it boils down to. Anyway, wow. And that reminds me, I still never did follow up on that note that I went through so much to get from Social Security, saying what I needed to do via phone. I never did follow up on that either. Object permanence, by the time I got home with that, I sat it down somewhere, and now I don't even know where it is. And I didn't think of it until whatever it was I was saying just now that reminded me of it. Oh yeah, I mentioned benefit specialist, and that got me thinking about how the benefit specialist, through quite a bit of work, actually succeeded in getting me my EBT card. But and then I did succeed in getting my my access medical coverage back, but still no Social Security, which would really, really help right now. God damn, yeah. So I don't. Yeah, my hand is getting cold. I might have to stop this. Just keep my hands in my pockets, keep them warm. But anyway, so I was on my way to the clinic, and I shot a video, and I was scrolling through my videos earlier, like right after I woke up at around midnight, and looking at the view counts of them. And yeah, every time I get on a binge like this where I'm just shooting buttloads of video everywhere we're walking, and I'm walking a lot, they don't get a lot of views. Every now and then I'll have a random one that might get, maybe 15, 20 views, and I'm just scratching my head like why that one got so many views as opposed to the other ones. But does anybody really understand what makes the YouTube algorithm tick? I think not. And it's not like I'm exactly putting the most exciting content on YouTube, so there's that. But anyway, this particular video, if memory serves, has only had like 2 views. It's possible one of them was me randomly clicking on it. So, yeah, for whatever reason, it counts those as a view. Yeah, it's probably nobody watching this has actually seen that video. But I did have a video where I was going off at length about how when my service got disconnected on my was just happened to be the exact same day that I blew the engine on my car. So my phone situation went to shit the same day my car situation went to shit. Kind of funny how life kicks you in the both nuts at the same time like that sometimes. But anyway, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for no reason whatsoever. Fuck, my right hand is getting cold. Okay, switch hands. Anyway, I mentioned that after the phone had got its service shut off, I continued to get text messages from some people, but not from others, and it was just bewildering to me how, as long as that phone was connected to Wi-Fi, obviously it's, not getting connection if it's not, and it was just bewildering to me, like, how is this working? Why is this working? And it took me quite a while to kind of figure out what it was, and I talked to my buddy that used to own the cell phone store, Jeff, about it, and he's, and I remember talking to him about it when it was happening, and he's like, oh, I explained to you that's why I was doing that, and I don't really remember him explaining that, or at least his explanation, just I didn't understand it. But anyway, I kind of figured out myself through trial and error that what was happening is that those people were iPhone users. And so them, like myself as an iPhone user on that phone, were using iMessage. And that iMessage is basically going through Apple servers instead of my cell phone carriers and other, the cell phone networks, SMS servers. And so for whatever reason, the phone didn't realize that it didn't have that phone number anymore, and it was continuing to send everything via iMessage through that. Now, when Jeff took the card out, the SIM card, and attempted to put the SIM card from my first Obamaphone with Assurance Wireless into that phone, which was the original goal in shutting Cricket service off on that phone, well, and of course trying to save $75-$80 a month, whatever the hell I was paying, the initial goal of that was, anyway, we're trying to get that in. And somehow the fact that we booted the phone with... Just got some kind of a message on this phone. It's probably just another damn spam email or text from a job recruiter. And I should talk about that soon, because that's got crazy. Hasn't resulted in me getting any jobs. It's just got retarded and crazy. Maybe I should work for a fucking recruiter. I don't know. Anyway, where was I? So what was I saying is oh God, switch hands. They're getting cold again. The act of taking that card out and then putting the other card in and putting the card back in was enough to let iOS realize that, that card doesn't actually have service. It wasn't just a temporary interruption, like that number is no longer associated with this phone, and enough to make iMessage quit using it. So at that point, as much as I enjoyed all of the, say a good 50% of the people that I sent text messages to do use iPhones. So yeah, a whole lot of people, I was still getting their text messages on that phone. It was super, super convenient because texting on the UMX, the first Obamaphone, is just absolutely a wretched experience. So yeah, it was nice having those ones still coming in that way. And what I mentioned in that video, and I'm kind of being redundant to that one, but I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you haven't see that one. I'm probably not going to dig through my blogs to watch it to figure this out. But what ended up happening was, so it took me a while to figure out. And then when I first got that phone, I was also regularly having a problem with it. With the UMX phone, I was having a problem with it sending text messages to people where they just wouldn't go through for whatever reason. And I'm sure it has just something to do with just something to do with the fact that in most ways, Assurance Wireless just really sucks. I'm thinking that somehow, I kind of concluded that what was going on is that when I had started the phone, or by default, it enabled a feature that Google calls chat. Not to confuse with text messaging, although it looks just like text messaging, but it's actually called chat. And chat seems to be the Android equivalent to iMessage, where it's sending the messages through the internet and through one of Google's servers, as opposed to sending it as SMS through the carriers. Now, all I can think of is the reason I have so much problem with it is for some reason that just, whatever those servers are, I don't know if they're just blocked, or if they're blocked by Assurance Wireless. It did seem like when I would send a message like that, it would eventually get through, and when it would eventually get through, it would be because I was on a really solid Wi-Fi. It wouldn't go through just on my regular wireless service, my Lifeline wireless service through Assurance Wireless. And the anyway, I hadn't really thought much more about it. Now, I don't know how to globally shut that chat feature off and force it to do all messages as SMS, which has always worked just fine on that phone. Is just fine as it's going to work on that phone with its weird pop-up information grabbing newsreader thing that is always popping up and making it difficult to just get to what you're trying to do on that phone. Anyway, but I haven't figured out how to globally disable what it calls chat, and so basically what I do is whenever somebody texts me on that phone, my first response to them by default is going to be chat. And mind you, I'm talking about before December 24th, when my service got shut off. So everything I sent through by default would be chat, which would fail. And at that point, like, there would be a conversation, and from the screen with the conversation, I could go to the properties of that conversation, and the contact, or at this point it would just be a phone number. I wouldn't, most of the time, even have a contact saved with a name, but just that phone number. And I could manually set it to where my replies to that number would be SMS only. That's how the option is written, SMS only. And then from that point on, I could copy and paste from the message that was a chat that didn't send through for whatever reason, that didn't send through, and I could just paste it into a new message and send it as SMS. And the funny thing is, usually they would end up getting that chat hours later, days later, hard to say. Anyway, I haven't given that whole chat thing any thought. It's very random that I get a text message from somebody on that phone, especially since, it hasn't had service since December 24th. The few messages I get are from the same people, so I've already manually set it to where it responds to them as SMS. So it's, I don't have that issue. Anyway, and I hadn't really given it any thought, and I just noticed today that phone is doing the same thing that my iPhone did after the service got shut off, but before I removed the SIM card. It's still